did not drink from the same water fountain. You did not use the same bathroom. In the court in which I am a judge now, you sat in a specific area if you were black.
Leonard returned to his hometown of Wilmington, Delaware, to join his mentor, the famed civil rights leader, Mr. Lewis L. Reddy, Esquire. This is more like coming back home. There's not anyone on the stage who isn't someone who is a shared and intimate part of my life also. I take great pride in being able to do the bio for the Honorable Leonard L. Williams, born December the 11th, 1934. Passed March 2nd, 2013. Leonard was the third of 16 children born to Claudius and Gertrude Briscoe Williams on December the 11th, 1934 in Wilmington, Delaware. Motivated by his parents' indomitable work ethic and their belief in academic achievement, he soared academically and athletically during his years in the racially segregated Wilmington public school system. At Howard High School, he was recognized as an outstanding student and athlete. Upon graduating from Howard High School, he was awarded an athletic scholarship from the University of Delaware. He enrolled at the University of Delaware 2 years after the 1950 Parker versus University decision that desegregated the university.
Lewis Redding, then Delaware's only black lawyer, began challenging Jim Crow in court as early as 1950. In that year, a group of black students sued the University of Delaware, demanding admission to the all-white freshman class. They won.
He was the first African-American to compete for the Blue Hen football squad. Leonard played both center and linebacker positions. And was a 3-year letterman, starting as a senior and helping lead the team to an impressive 3-year mark of 23-4. His discipline and competitiveness helped him to achieve Dean's List status. Leonard worked steadfastly at his studies, made the Dean's List, and graduated with honors.
Leonard Williams was among the first black students to graduate.
I felt that that was an obligation and a challenge for me to deal with, and I'd probably be better prepared to deal with it if I'd gone to the University of Delaware.
But his educational pursuits did not end at the University of Delaware. After receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree in English History and Political Science, Leonard had higher aspirations. He attended Georgetown University Law School, graduating in June 1959 and passing the bar examinations in both the District of Columbia and Delaware in December of that same year. He became only the 5th African American to be admitted to the Delaware Bar Association. Leonard returned to his hometown of Wilmington, Delaware, to join his mentor, the famed civil rights leader, Mr. Lewis L. Redding, Esquire. In April 1961, immediately after his initiation into Mr. Redding's practice, they were stationed in the Supreme Court of the United States. As Mr. Redding argued the landmark Burton versus Wilmington Parking Authority case.
Much of Wilmington remained off limits to blacks. In 1958, a restaurant that rented space from the city refused to serve a city councilman because he was black. Dutch Burton sued and won his case in court, but the fight for access to restaurants and other public places persisted even into the 60s.
In addition to his private practice, Leonard served as a part-time assistant city solicitor for a municipal court in Wilmington and later served as the chief prosecuting attorney for that court. Years later, he was appointed by Governor Charles L. Terry.
Charles Layman Terry was born in rural Kent County in 1900. William McKinley was president. It would be 3 years before the first cross-country automobile trip.
There were a group of black women that he had invited in during the time of the welfare strife. The governor said, well, I think the paramount need is jobs. We need to find jobs for those boys. And he looked up and he said, I can see you bristle when I say that. He said, but you really shouldn't. He said, you know, I'm an old man. To me, Ned over here is a boy. And I was almost 40, I guess, or at least in my mid-30s. He said, he's a boy to me. He said, I don't mean anything by it.
To the municipal court and became Judge Leonard L. Williams and served honorably for more than 3 decades before retiring from the bench.
Little Mitchell made some remarks about how black people feel about Charles Terry. And the governor at this press conference said, my man Charles says Little Mitchell does not speak for the black people, implying that my man Charles, his houseboy, did speak for the black people.
Good evening, Colin.
Good evening, Wesley.
How are you?
Charles Wesley Atkins went to work in the Terry's home in 1927 and worked for them for 42 years.
He would look at me and say, Wesley, that's interesting. I didn't think that.
Judge Williams' dedication and commitment to giving back to the community is legendary. He was passed the torch by Mr. Redding and never failed to meet the persistent challenges confronting him and the African-American community in the state of Delaware. Judge Williams' community and civic involvements have always been aimed at improving the status of African-Americans and other disenfranchised individuals. He contributed his time and expertise to a myriad of organizations and was very active in handling real estate and business matters for many churches, developers, realtors, and other nonprofit organizations. He served many community organizations that included the Legal Defense Fund, People's Settlement Association, the Walnut Street Y, the Wilmington branch of the NAACP, the Delaware State Conference of Branches of the NAACP, Community Housing Inc., the National Welfare Rights Council, Layton Home, the Coalition to Save Our Children, and the Howard P.S. Athletic Association. He received numerous honors and citations and awards and accolades for his effort on behalf of fellow citizens. After his retirement, he worked tirelessly to restore the Redding family home. He spearheaded its relocation, restoration, and maintenance in collaboration with other civic leaders. His most recent endeavor was the preservation of the Hocassin Colored School, number 107C, the school where the Delaware cases for Brown versus the Board of Education began. Judge Williams was the proud father of 3 children, Leonard Jr., Bucky, Dina, and Garrett, and a devoted husband to his wife, Andrea. He had fond memories of his life for his family and friends to cherish. Leonard L. Williams, the man viewed life simply with an intellect to understand and negotiate its complexities masterfully. He will be remembered as a friend, a father, and a brother, but meant by many, but a wonderful husband to his wife, and a great dad to his 3 children. I can just say to you, he was my mentor, and I was very happy to have had him and what he did for this community in my life. And we also share the same birthday. So I want you to understand that in honoring Judge Leonard L. Williams, we are honoring a giant among men whose tentacles extended all over the communities.